Hello and welcome to the Dwarven faction, and to Cosmodon. One of the important things to remember early in the game is that there are many factions to call on for support, including the gnomes to the west. Should you manage to clean out the trolls that live there, the gnomes will join your forces, aiding you with increased production and a secondary base. The lands directly to the east of you shall fall under your purview. These include Dunmoder, Loch Madon and the Blasted Lands to the south, the Wetlands to the north, and Tol Barad to the far east. Now let us take a look at a few of the Dwarven units. The Dwarven Warrior is a solid frontline unit, only made more so by the addition of the Mithril armor upgrade, which adds a 40% chance to ignore up to 20% damage. With the charge ability and 2 alternate abilities depending on which tech choice you go with, it's a very good choice early on, and late game. But if you're looking for something just a little bit beefier, I'd recommend the Thane. With a number of powerful abilities, this guy can change the battlefield for the better. One of these is Taunt, which will cause nearby units to continue to attack this unit. Another is its Heal, often used in tandem with the first ability. With a Bash, pretty decent magic immunity, the ability to become a Thane with invulnerability and increased armor, as well as gaining the benefits of Mithril armor, the Thane is tough to beat for the money. The Rifleman is an extremely standard and trustworthy ranged unit. Try not to mask this guy, but in certain amounts in certain places, it can be very effective. I highly recommend not having WoW flying sounds in the background while you record, but in this case, we'll let it slide. The Dwarven Engineer is a deceptively useful unit in the early game, with its EMP ability, able to knock out buildings of all types, and an early game Dispel. A few of these won't go wrong. Although the Steam Tank may not see play in every game that you'll go into, it does have certain situational effectiveness. This includes large groups of air units and its special abilities that it gains through tech choices later on. If you turn it into fire tanks, you'd be surprised how much chaos damage it's capable of delivering. Show me a Dwarven army without a Mortar team, and I'll show you a Dwarven army that's doing it wrong. The Mortar team is extremely efficient, not only for scouting purposes, but with fragmentation grenades, able to deal larger damage to clumped up groups of units and increasing the damage it deals to medium armor, which is a weakness that Yellow suffers early game, especially when going for a longer range support role. Our little flying machine buddy here is good for approximately 2 things, and that is air superiority and harassing buildings on the ground. Make sure that you're not using it for anything else. Those 2 purposes, it's unexcelled at. Oh, how do I love thee, let me count the ways. Oh, the Griffin Rider, just simply one of the best units that Yellow brings to the field, with excellent mobility, one of the few flying units with heavy armor in the air, and magic damage. Plus, with the Stormhammer's ability and the AoE that it gains from that, it's invaluable. Plus, you'll see that it has a silence ability that is extremely useful on certain groups of demi-elite casters and or heroes. Guys, keep the Griffin Riders around and always be using them. I can't overstate that. Magni is a wee strange beast of a hero. He has conflicting abilities, one of which is Stormbolt, Healing Spray, and his aura, which increases attack speed in general by percentage. His ultimate is an extremely powerful AoE and is almost unrivaled in the late game. However, keeping this guy alive will be a bit of a trick. Much like Magni, Murden has an extreme amount of late-game potential, but keeping him alive in the beginning is difficult. He has Seismic Slam, Trogdor, and his other axe, a slight chance to do AoE damage to nearby units, as well as the Avatar ability as his ultimate. Again, he becomes extremely powerful later on, but be careful early on and choose decent survival tools, a ring and a boots. Important early game unit for Yellow, bar none. We're talking about Bailgun Flamebeard, and this is for 3 things. He is extremely tanky, and the reincarnation ability on top of that is just icing on the cake. He also has a flare without having to research it, which gives you early game scouting against your enemies, and a dispel without having to research it early game. So it's very, very useful if you find yourself against a teal who's using spells and you really don't know what to do. You've got Bailgun in your back pocket. Keep him alive, guys. I really like this hero. The Dwarves are one of the few races to enjoy a tech tree, So let's go ahead and check out some of the options. Within Ironforge, you will find the Imperial Quarters. The first of your two choices will be between the Stormpike and the Anvilmar. Should you choose the Stormpike acceptance, your warriors will be granted these bonuses. Your Dwarven warriors will gain the Defend ability, able to withstand more range damage. And your towers will gain the Spiked Barricades upgrade, doing damage to melee attackers. If, however, you find yourself feeling of a more offensive mindset, the Anvilmar will offer up their services. They will offer your Dwarven Riflemen the Penetrating Rounds ability, reducing the armor of those affected by their shots. In addition, your Dwarven Keep Towers will enjoy a decent range increase. No matter what choice you've made in the first round, the stakes get much higher in the second. Here you'll be choosing between the Explorers League and the Gnomish Inventors. The Explorers League will offer these interesting benefits to your army. 1. You will receive Bronzebeard as a demi-hero. He possesses extremely powerful abilities, along with one which allows him a small chance to one-shot a unit, as well as the Explorer unit. It has a net, the ability to go invisible, as well as, most importantly, a healing ward. Or maybe you'll decide to stick with your defensive skills and pair this with Gnomish Inventor Mastery. This one gives you Gelbin Mekatork as a demi-hero, an extremely strong defensive unit, as well as the Tinker, which has versatility. It's able to repair damaged terrain, as well as damaged buildings with mana, costing you no resources. It also possesses this cute little mine ability, which en masse is, well, it's potentially a little scary. And while that might have shaken up the mid-game, let's talk about the late game. With the Wildhammer Mastery, you get a more eclectic sense of things. As it's a more northern-based expansion, you'll be receiving Airy Peak and the hero, Valset Wildhammer. In addition, your Dwarven Footmen will receive the Healing Flask ability. Also, Siege teams, Mortar teams, they will get the Haul Your Ass ability. Your Griffins will receive the Chain Lightning ability. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. The Wildhammer Golems will come to your aid. They have a Hurl Boulder and slight regeneration despite being mechanical units. Give 3 additional Griffin Riders total. If, however, you're feeling slightly more evil, you can go ahead and go with Shadowforge City. This path will give you Emperor Dagron Thracian and a base located under Blackrock. One of the army advantages is the Shadowforge Golem. Much like its Wildhammer counterpart, it is a mechanical unit, but instead of having its regenerative abilities, it instead has a frenzy. Your siege tanks will become fire tanks, doing chaos damage. Your Dwarven warriors will receive the firebomb ability, becoming terrorists. And your planes will also receive the burning oil ability, becoming terrorists, halting all repairs and 80% of attack speed on buildings. And finally, let's go ahead and explore Yellow's masteries. While some of them are a little simple, others are actually quite interesting. Let's start off with the most boring and move forward from there. We'll start with Siege Mastery. It adds a flat 15 bonus damage to mortars, flying machines, and steam tanks. It gives bonus health for flying machines and unlocks the stun mine ability for steam tanks, which can be kind of interesting, I will give you that. But let's move on. The Fortification Mastery has these effects. It will increase the health of all buildings by 300 and their armor by 2. It will increase the Keep's Dwarven Masonry bonus aura from 4 to 6 bonus armor, and the Fortress from 6 to 8 bonus armor. It will also give the Dwarven Fortress a 1200 range, 105 to 135 siege attack, basically turning it into a little cannon. This mastery, in combination with other factors such as Tinkers and Gelbin Mekatork for his armor increase and his building healing aura, can result in some truly ridiculous fortifications. Now we'll discuss the elemental mastery path, but it does have some issues. First of all, it will give a flat bonus to health and damage to your griffins if you have decided to go with the Wildhammer clan, or to your Dagron's elementals, should you have chosen the Shadowforge City path. Elementals seem to be suffering from a Breath of Fire issue where it doesn't work. They are still extremely powerful on their own. However, just be aware that you won't be getting the full bonus. The Griffins, however, still seem to do some damage, and as always, have sticking power. And hey there, guys, while we watch the slaughter in the background, let's go ahead and just go over Yellow's events really quickly. He can conquer Gilneas. Magni is unrevivable if Ironforge is destroyed. Dwarven Dominion upgrade will improve all of your units' hit points. Ironforge has 3 tier choices, we've discussed those. Once Ironforge has developed the Deep Run Tram, you can use the train on the northeast corner of Stormwind to instantly teleport to Ironforge and vice versa. When you kill all the Ice Trolls in Gnomeregan, you will get the buildings and control point and the opportunity to get Gnomeregan units with the tier choice. When Ironforge is destroyed, you will gain Airy Peak, and when Airy Peak is destroyed, you will in turn gain Shadowforge City. Anyway, guys, I have just had so much fun. I'm gonna cut out here. There might be a little bit afterwards, but thanks for joining me for this episode.
Our town is under siege. Our forces are under attack.
Anyway, guys, I had a blast making this. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought of the format, of the style. Do you want it to be more theatrical? Do you want it to be less? Do you want a change in something? Did I miss something? I know that there were occasional errors. For example, I said some mistakes like 20 instead of 20, I said 20%, you know, silly things like that. But let me know what you think about getting this done for all races in Azeroth Wars, and on top of that, all custom maps, and just kind of try to get this out. I mean, it could be a thing. It's dumb, it might take a lot of time, but a fun way to do things, huh? Let me know what you think. Until then, enjoy the slaughter game. Bye.